Hello, everyone. Welcome back to today's story. In this episode, we follow a deeply meaningful milestone in Jack and Tu Tien's journey as they officially hold their wedding in the presence of family, friends, and loved ones from all around. With Jack's mother and Uncle Dung standing as the family representatives, this wedding becomes more than a formal ceremony. It becomes a symbol of unity, responsibility, and shared commitment. As the celebration unfolds, we see how support, understanding, and quiet gestures shape the foundation of a lasting marriage. Stay until the end to experience how this special day marks the true beginning of Jack and Tu Tien's life together. And don't forget to subscribe to help us reach 10,000 subscribers. Your support truly means the world to us. The wedding morning arrives quietly, almost gently, as if the sky itself understands the importance of the day. After a night of soft rain, the air feels fresh and clean, carrying that unmistakable scent of damp earth and new beginnings. Pale sunlight filters through thin clouds, landing on the small village road that leads to the ceremony venue. For Jack and Tu Tien, this is not just another morning. It's the moment their long journey together officially becomes a shared life. Tu Tien wakes up early, long before the guests arrive. She stands by the window for a moment, fingers lightly touching the curtain, watching drops of water slide down the glass. There's nervousness in her chest, but it's mixed with something warmer, certainty. Today, she's not questioning anything. She knows exactly why she's here, why she chose Jack, and why this wedding matters. In the next room, Jack is already awake too. He doesn't say much, but his movements are steady and deliberate as he gets ready. Every now and then, he glances at the clock, not because he's worried about being late, but because he can't quite believe the day has finally arrived. All the struggles, the planning, the waiting, it's all led to this. Outside, the venue slowly comes to life. Chairs are arranged in neat rows. Flowers are adjusted one last time, and the soft hum of conversation begins to fill the air. Guests arrive from all directions: relatives, friends, neighbors, business partners, and people who have watched Jack and Tu Tien grow together over the years. The atmosphere is lively but respectful, filled with smiles, greetings, and quiet excitement. What makes this wedding especially meaningful is not the decorations or the size of the crowd, but the people standing at its heart. Jack's mother steps forward early in the morning, taking on her role as one of the representatives of the family. Her posture is calm and dignified, but there's a visible shine in her eyes. This is her son's big day, and she carries both pride and responsibility with grace. Beside her is Uncle Dung, equally composed, equally respected. He doesn't speak loudly or try to draw attention to himself, but his presence is steady and reassuring. As one of the representatives, he moves between guests, greeting elders, exchanging polite words, and making sure everything is in order. To many people there, his involvement speaks volumes about how seriously this wedding is taken. Tu Tien's side of the family arrives shortly after. When she steps out to greet them, her smile is a little shy, but genuine. She doesn't need to say much. Her happiness is clear in the way she holds herself, in the way her eyes keep drifting toward Jack, even when she's surrounded by others. The families exchange formal greetings, but beneath the formality is a shared understanding. today is about unity. As the ceremony approaches, the crowd grows larger. Some guests whisper to each other about how far Jack and Tu Tien have come. Others talk about how rare it is to see such strong family support on both sides. Laughter breaks out here and there, easing the tension, making the moment feel less intimidating and more celebratory. When the time finally comes, everyone takes their seats. The air seems to still for just a second, as if the entire space is holding its breath. Jack stands at the front, hands clasped together, trying to look calm, even though his heart is racing. When Tu Tien appears, all eyes turn toward her. She walks slowly, carefully, each step deliberate, each breath steady. In that moment, the noise fades away. For Jack, there's only her. Jack's mother and Uncle Dung step forward as representatives, formally acknowledging the union. Their words are not long or overly dramatic, but they carry weight. Jack's mother speaks of responsibility, of partnership, and of what it means to truly build a life together. Her voice is steady, but emotion creeps in at the edges, reminding everyone that this is not just a formal ritual. It's deeply personal. Uncle Dung follows, emphasizing respect, patience, and mutual support. He speaks about marriage not as a destination, but as a journey that requires effort from both sides. His tone is calm and grounded, the kind that makes people listen carefully. Around them, guests nod quietly, absorbing every word. Jack and Tu Tien stand side by side, hands linked. They don't need to look at each other to feel connected, but when they do, there's a silent exchange of reassurance. This is real. This is happening. And they're ready. As the formalities continue, the crowd remains attentive. There's no rush, no impatience, just a shared respect for the moment. When the marriage is officially acknowledged, a wave of applause spreads through the venue. It's not overly loud, but it's full, warm, and sincere. Smiles appear everywhere, and a few guests discreetly wipe away tears. After the ceremony, the atmosphere shifts. Formality gives way to celebration. Conversations grow louder, laughter becomes more frequent, and the tension that once hung in the air completely dissolves. Guests line up to congratulate the couple, offering blessings, advice, and heartfelt wishes. Jack's mother stays close to Tu Tien, gently guiding her through the crowd, introducing her properly to relatives and elders. The gesture is subtle but meaningful. It's a quiet way of saying, "You're family now." Tu Tien notices it, and her grip on Jack's hand tightens slightly, gratitude flooding her expression. Uncle Dung joins them occasionally, stepping in when needed, easing conversations, lightening the mood with a few well-timed words. His role as a representative doesn't end with the ceremony. It continues in these small interactions, ensuring harmony and warmth throughout the gathering. As food is served and guests settle into relaxed conversations, Jack and Tu Tien finally get a moment to breathe. They stand slightly apart from the crowd, watching everyone mingle. There's mud on the road outside, traces of last night's rain still visible, but inside the venue, everything feels solid and secure. Jack leans in and says quietly, "We did it." Tu Tien smiles, her voice just as soft. "No, we're doing it." It's a simple exchange, but it captures everything. This wedding isn't an ending. It's the beginning of something larger, something shared, something built with intention and support. Around them, the celebration continues, fueled by family, tradition, and genuine joy. The unpredictable weather of the night before feels like a distant memory now. What remains is a sense of stability, of belonging, and of trust, not just between Jack and Tu Tien, but among everyone who came to witness and support their union. And as the day moves forward, one thing becomes clear to everyone present. This wedding isn't just about two people choosing each other. It's about families coming together, about representatives standing with pride, and about a future that feels, at last, firmly grounded. As the afternoon settles in, the wedding naturally moves into a new rhythm, one that feels less formal, but even more meaningful. The earlier ceremony has already fulfilled its purpose, and now the space belongs to conversation, shared meals, and the kind of joy that only comes when people truly feel connected. The rain from the night before has left the ground damp, but the air is cool and comfortable, making everyone linger a little longer. Jack and Tu Tien reappear after changing into lighter, more relaxed outfits. The moment guests notice them, smiles spread through the crowd. Some people clap softly, others wave them over, eager to speak. The couple walks slowly, not rushing, stopping often to greet relatives and friends. Each conversation feels personal. There is no sense of obligation, only gratitude. At the main table, elders from both families sit together, sharing dishes and exchanging polite words that slowly turn into genuine conversation. Jack's mother takes on the role of host without making it obvious. She pours tea, recommends dishes, and gently bridges gaps when the conversation pauses. Her actions are subtle, but they create harmony. Several guests quietly comment on how reassuring her presence is, how naturally she carries responsibility. Uncle Dung moves through the space with equal ease, though in a different way. He checks in with the kitchen, makes sure no one is waiting too long for food, and steps in to help when extra guests arrive unexpectedly. His shoes pick up a bit of mud as he goes in and out, but he laughs it off, brushing it aside like it doesn't matter. For him, this wedding is about effort and sincerity, not perfection. Tu Tien watches all of this from a short distance, her heart unexpectedly full. She remembers the doubts she once carried, worries about whether she would be able to live up to expectations, whether marriage would feel overwhelming. Seeing Jack's mother and Uncle Dung working together so naturally eases those fears. Their actions speak clearly. Support doesn't come with pressure. It comes with understanding. As food is served, the atmosphere becomes louder and more relaxed. Plates are passed around, compliments are exchanged, and laughter flows freely. Stories begin to surface, some about Jack's stubborn determination when he was younger, others about Tu Tien's quiet resilience and patience. The couple listens, occasionally laughing, occasionally embarrassed, but mostly touched. These stories don't separate them. Instead, they weave their pasts together into a shared narrative. Midway through the meal, Uncle Dung stands and taps his glass gently. The room quiets almost immediately. He doesn't raise his voice or try to impress anyone. He simply thanks everyone for coming, acknowledging the time and effort it took, especially with the weather being unpredictable. Then he turns to Jack and Tu Tien, reminding them that marriage is not sustained by celebration alone, but by everyday choices, respect, and responsibility. His words are calm, but they linger. Jack's mother follows him, standing with composed confidence. She doesn't speak at length, but every sentence feels deliberate. She talks about balance between work and family, between independence and partnership. Then she turns to Tu Tien and formally welcomes her into the family, not as a guest, but as someone who belongs. The sincerity in her voice draws a quiet response from the crowd, followed by warm applause. Tu Tien lowers her head slightly, emotion tightening her throat. Jack reaches for her hand, grounding her. In that moment, the noise around them fades, replaced by a deep sense of reassurance. This is not just acceptance, it's trust. Outside, the sky begins to change again. The clouds thin, allowing stronger sunlight to break through. The wet ground reflects the light, making everything shimmer softly. Some guests step outside to enjoy the fresh air, commenting on how the weather seems to mirror the ups and downs of life itself. Others stay inside, reluctant to leave the warmth of conversation. Jack and Tu Tien take advantage of a brief lull to step away from the crowd. They walk slowly along the edge of the venue, careful on the damp ground. Jack jokes that the weather seems determined to leave its mark on their wedding day. Tu Tien smiles, replying that maybe it's a reminder that stability doesn't come from conditions. It comes from how they face them together. They pause, looking back at the gathering. Jack notices his mother speaking with elders. Uncle Dung helping someone rearrange chairs. Guests laughing over shared dishes. He admits quietly that seeing this makes him realize how much support they truly have. Tu Tien nods, confessing that she once feared the responsibilities of marriage would feel heavy. Now, they feel shared. When they return, the celebration continues with renewed energy. Younger guests gather closer, chatting animatedly, taking photos, teasing the couple with playful remarks. Elders remain seated, observing with content smiles, occasionally offering advice when invited. The usual distance between generations feels smaller today, bridged by mutual respect and a shared purpose. As evening approaches, lights are switched on, casting a warm glow over the space. The earlier mud and dampness no longer matter. Shoes are dusty, clothes slightly wrinkled, but no one seems concerned. These small imperfections only make the day feel more real, more human. Before the gathering winds down, Jack and Tu Tien stand once more to address everyone. Jack speaks first, thanking the guests for their presence and support, acknowledging the guidance he has received over the years. His words are steady, sincere. Tu Tien follows, her voice soft but clear. She thanks Jack's mother and Uncle Dung directly, recognizing their roles as representatives and as pillars of the family. The respect in her tone deepens the already warm atmosphere. As guests begin to leave, the energy shifts into something calmer. Goodbyes are unhurried. Elders are escorted carefully. Promises to visit are exchanged. And laughter continues even as people step away. Jack's mother oversees the departures with quiet attentiveness, while Uncle Dung handles the remaining details, ensuring nothing is overlooked. When the venue finally grows quiet, Jack and Tu Tien stand together in the fading light. Chairs are slightly out of place. Footprints mark the floor. and the air carries the lingering warmth of a day well spent. They don't rush to tidy up. For now, they simply stand there, hands intertwined,